Jay Toia is a juggernaut of an athlete and is one of the more intriguing players at the defensive tackle position, bringing a unique blend of raw power and developmental potential to the Dallas Cowboys. A multi-sport athlete and highly rated 4-star recruit, Toia comes from a family steeped in football tradition. His brother Siaki Ika, previously scouted by the Dallas Cowboys, plays in the NFL, and his uncle was also an NFL player. These strong NFL bloodlines likely caught the Cowboys' attention. Now entering his first year, Toia has a tremendous opportunity ahead.
You're joining a defensive line that has Osa Odigizua, Micah Parsons. Just what excites you about joining this Matt Eberflus defensive line?
Honestly, just getting to learn from people you just named, Micah Parsons, especially Osa. He went to my alma mater, so just excited to learn from those guys.
What has this moment been like for you? You've gotten a chance to get inside the building, see the facility. What's the moment been like for you?
Honestly, just blessed, feeling really blessed, grateful to be even in this position, to be in this facility, America's team, it's just great.
With Mozzie Smith being here with him, there will be strong competition for playing time. While defensive tackles typically need a few years to develop in the NFL, Toia has a great opportunity right now since the position is in lockdown for this season. So let's take a look at some of his work and see what he can bring to the Dallas Cowboys. So on this play here, Jay Toia faces off against Will Campbell, a top prospect from this past draft. Toia shows great strength and technique, effectively challenging Campbell at the point of attack, showcasing his ability to not only occupy blockers, but also finish plays. And with this rep here against top competition, shows Toia's potential to compete against NFL level talent. So we'll go ahead and rock with it. So locking on this play here, you see that he's lined up right in between Will Campbell and that left guard, but just seeing these guys firing off the ball and clashing right in the gridiron. And when it comes down to a player like Toia, if you can't be able to lock your hands inside, he has the ability to be able to control you, completely bench pressing Will Campbell and finding a way to get separation, sticking his nose in there and securing a tackle. And this is what you'd like to see when it comes down to a player like Toia, being 6'2", 342 pounds, who is extremely powerful. And the good thing about watching this player's film, throughout his whole career, he was going up against top competition. And with a player like Will Campbell, he is definitely no slouch. But it just shows that if this player is in good position, he is powerful enough to be able to control you and remove you from the line of scrimmage. So great play by Jay Toia, going up against top-tier competition, getting physical, and making a nice tackle. When you're a defensive tackle with the size of Jay Toia, you have to be that space eater, clogging things up and flooding the line of scrimmage, allowing other guys to roam and make plays. It is imperative that the Cowboys find a defensive tackle who could potentially be valuable in goal line situations. He still has to prove this at the next level, but these are the reps here that we like to see. So we'll go ahead and run it. So looking at this play here, just watching him clash with that right guard. With that right guard, he wrapped his arms around him, but that is a big mistake when it comes down to a guy like Toia. Because if you can't be able to get them hands inside, he will find ways to quickly control you. Knowing that that running back is trying to slash it inside, and he lays his big body right in between that gap, clogging everything up and allowing the other defenders to stop him before he reached the goal line. This is what you love to see when it comes down to your space eater, Cowboys Nation. When you're playing that defensive tackle position, it's not always about going out there and making those plays, but can you be a guy that can clog things up and allow those linebackers to get busy? And he's one of the main reasons why Carson Schlesinger had a great season last year. And this is a linebacker that I really like coming from UCLA. But it's good to see that he can clog up lanes and make it hard for these offenses, but this has to translate to the next level. And seeing this player throughout last season as well as this season, he plays with a low center of gravity and it's hard to be able to get underneath him. So this was a great play by the linebackers, closing in, being able to stop that running back, but it all started with Jay Toia.
Pause. Cowboys Nation, I got one favor to ask for you before we continue this film session, and that is to click the subscribe button. That counts more than what money can give, and we need you to take JC Cowboys Network to the top, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. So let's get back on to the film session.
One thing I like about Jay Toia is he shows that he can break free from blockers to stop the run. He doesn't have the longest arms, but he uses them well from time to time and uses his body position to his advantage. Toia is very strong on his upper body and has great control once he latches onto an offensive lineman, getting away and stopping the runner right in his tracks. So we'll go ahead and run it. So looking at this play here, just watching that right guard, just watch where he places those hands. If you're going up against a guy like Toia, if those hands are not in the right spot, film shows that he will throw you like a rag doll. And he was literally doing this all throughout last season, throwing him and locking in on his target, getting into position and smashing that running back. And what I really like about this player, he's not only doing this in the first and second quarter, this guy is playing to the whistle. He had nearly 650 snaps in 2024. So the coaching staff, they really believed in him, on top of lining this player up all throughout that defensive line. And being with the Dallas Cowboys and Coach White Cotton, I'm sure that he is going to get this player ready. But seeing him clash with that right guard, disengage, and get to the running back was great to see by Jay Toia. Here's another play of him disengaging and finding a way to disrupt the play. So locking on this play here, just watching number 70, you can just tell with that right guard, he did not have that proper footing, so Toia was able to do what he wanted with him, disengaging and getting in on that action. And playing that one technique defensive tackle position, it is the only way you're going to be able to take that next step. Now, there are a lot of things that this player needs to work on, but the physicality, the power is all there. And he's honestly one of the guys that started football late, so this is a player that is very raw. Sometimes when you're playing that defensive tackle position, it can take about 2 or 3 years to get into position, but for this season, I believe that with his aggression and power alone, he has a chance to see some burn on the field. So this was another solid rep by Jay here, letting that offensive line know that he was going to give him problems all game. Having NFL family connections is a big advantage in football. Players who come from families with NFL experience, wrestling backgrounds, or rugby backgrounds are especially valuable. On this play, Toia shows the same kind of power that I saw from his brother Siaki Ika last year. He's naturally strong and can overpower opponents to make plays. With proper NFL coaching and physical development, his technique should improve even further. And this is what you want when it comes down to your defensive tackle, a player that is a sponge who is locked in. So we're going to split it. So running this play here, just watching that right tackle, just being clumsy when you're going up against a player like him. If he sees a mistake that you're making out there, he has the ability to be able to capitalize off of it. So he closes in and lays a body on that running back. And what's good about bringing in a player like Jay Toia, I believe that it's going to bring the best out of a guy like Mozzie Smith. You have to continue to keep on bringing in talent because we all know that the NFL is not for long. When you get to the wintertime, when a lot of these playoff teams are running the ball, you got to have the tough players in there in the gridiron to be able to stop that run. Because if you can be able to close half of a team's playbook, that is when you can be able to deploy Micah Parsons, Donovan Ezeraku. This team is stacked when it comes down to pass rushers, but it all starts with that defensive interior, having guys that can be able to be tough and get it done. So another play by Jay Toia, capitalizing off the offensive lineman mistake and finishing his play. One of the issues I see from Jay Toia is him giving up his body and rushing without a plan. This could be because he is very raw at football and has a lot to learn. But hopefully Coach White Cotton can coach him up and get this player going. He's definitely going to have to lock in if he's going to be considered a well-rounded defensive tackle. So let's run it. So running this play here, you see that he's shuffling and he slams inside. And there were a ton of plays that I saw from him where he was being overly aggressive, quickly gave his body up, and that allowed the offense to get chunk plays quickly. You got to make sure you're on top of it because you do not want to get washed out of these plays. And as far as his pass rush, there is a lot that he needs to work on. Sometimes you'll see that he's not going in there with a plan and he tries to impose his will on the offensive lineman. But he does pack a powerful club move that I'm sure that he's going to use at the next level. But in due time, with Coach White Cotton, he'll get him rocking and rolling. Here's a rep where Jay Toia shows off his ability to knock down passes at the line of scrimmage. This isn't happening all the time, but game film shows several plays where he successfully gets his hands up to block passes. What's impressive is how he makes up for his shorter arms by being smart about when and how to jump up and get his hands on the ball. So let's run it. So locking on this play here, just watching the movements from Jay Toia. One thing about this player, he does have the athletic ability to be a snappy player from time to time. He's bulldozing through, downloading the quarterback, and timing his jump. And it's so good to be able to see this from a player with shorter arms. You got to be right on point when it comes down to batting down passes. And he did this a few times during his final year at UCLA. And usually when you can bat the ball down like this, It can buy time for the other defenders on the team to see it in the air and create a turnover. So great heads up play by Jay Toia. Here's another play of him getting his hands on the ball and batting it down. We got to continue to bring receipts when it comes to the JC network. So locking on this play here, they're deploying him as a stand-up rusher. I don't think they're going to do that in Dallas, but just seeing him fighting it out against that right tackle, getting into position, and getting his hands in the air. And what's so good about this player, he has that relentless energy. He is bringing that heat down in and down out. It's always good when you see a player never taking a play off and staying consistent. We did draft this player in the 7th round, but when it comes down to that nose tackle position, that one technique position, you can find good talent all throughout the draft. A lot of teams, they do not focus in on that position early on in the draft, so this player could end up being a dog. It might take some time, but I believe that he has what it takes, on top of having good coaching. So on this final play here, for a Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle, the ability to effectively handle and defeat double teams is a crucial skill that can make a difference between a good and a great player. The film shows that he has the ability to do this, but consistency will be key with this player. I cannot stress it enough. If he can show that he can anchor against double teams while maintaining gap integrity, it will be crucial if he's going to see playing time this year. So let's run it. So locking on this play here, you see that he's going up against that guard and that right tackle. They're attempting to double team block him with number 77 peeling off the Carson Schlesinger, but you see Toia with his hands inside, disengages and finishes that running back. And this is part of the reason why the Dallas Cowboys went out their way to pick up this player, because I do see a lot of things. He is a raw talent. It might take time, but with the brute strength, the ability to be able to knock down passes, you can stop the run, you're a leader on and off the field. It's not surprising that they picked him, because with Brian Schottenheimer, this is the kind of guy that they want. And if you can be a defensive tackle where these offenses got a game plan for you and they're double teaming you, linebackers, all the rest of the players can go out there and be their best. But it's not going to be easy for this player. He's going to have to prove it come training camp. So this ended up being another solid play by Jay Toia, doing his job and making it happen. So it's going to be good to see how it all plays out on that defensive line. Guys like Mozzie Smith is going to have to turn up. This is year 3 for him. There are no excuses. He has great athletic ability. He's a strong player, and bringing in a guy like Jay Toia, I believe is going to bring the best out of him. If this team is going to take that next step, they got to make sure they get it right with the defensive line, because once you get to the playoffs, it's going to be a lot of running, so you got to make sure that you're on top of it. But competition is going to be ramped up all throughout this entire roster, and I am excited to see how it's going to play out. So comment below and let me know what you guys think about Jay Toia, and who else do y'all want to see me break down just like this video. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you don't hit it, you'll miss on fire updates and the best football film sessions on YouTube. All right, football family, talk to y'all soon. Gone.